Welcome back to another episode of the Rational Football League Show. My name is Emmett. I'm here with my co-host Brendyn Ford.
What up, y'all?
We have had a huge week of football, of news, of predictions. So we're going to get right into it, guys. But real quick, you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Twitter, and TikTok. Go check us on those platforms. Check out our shorts. Come engage with us. We love hearing from you. But with that, let's roll right into our news of the week segment. Starting off with the big news, the Los Angeles Chargers have hired Jim Harbaugh to be their new head coach. He'll be overseeing that program, working with Justin Herbert. B, how are you feeling about this move?
Dude, I am psyched for Chargers fans. This is a huge get. And there's social admin team is going crazy. Was it already last night that he got hired or 2 nights ago? They're just spamming the hell out of tweets. I don't know who makes those Photoshop pictures so fast. I'm like, damn, y'all just just have these ready because there's 20 of them that are just boom, 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 done. Crazy.
So for those that don't know, the Chargers have one of the best social media teams in the game. I think it's them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they are the pinnacle. I think the ones that put out last year, the schedule release, they were in Nashville for the draft, and they had their interviewing people. Yeah, dude, they are the pinnacle of social media teams. So for those that don't know, right before Harbaugh was announced as the next head coach of the Chargers, they put out a tweet showing when the chimney stack for the Pope is picked, the next Pope is going to be announced. They posted a picture of that. Then, an hour later, they had a picture of Jim Harbaugh, camera zoomed into his face as their profile pic. Dude, they just had the memes lined up. I'm telling you, there is no better social media team in the game besides the Chargers. Shout out to the Chargers social media team. They are the peak. I think it's a great hire. I think it's I wouldn't be surprised to see the Chargers in the playoffs next season. I know a couple Chargers fans are being a little cautious because there's a little bit of a project of a rebuild. And if you don't know what that is, go check out our Chargers videos where we actually did a rebuild for them and predicted Jim Harbaugh would be the head coach of the Chargers. But yeah, I think I would not be surprised with the talent they currently have there that they would be in the playoffs next year. Moving on to another hire.
He's definitely going to build that. Oh, sorry. I'll say that real quick too. Go this plus one off your point. He's gonna build that team the right way too. He wants to win, but he's not gonna sabotage his roster. Obviously, they're in a bad spot right now with cap and all that stuff, but he's gonna build that team to win for not just only for 1 year or 2 year, but for more. So yeah, that's crazy. I'm actually surprised that he left college too. I know every year it comes out and he's yeah, I want to do it, but he actually did it, which is wild to me. But yeah, no, that's a great hire.
Yeah, I think that decision to leave Michigan comes down to two factors. His whole goal once he got to Michigan was, I'm bringing a national championship to my alma mater. And now that was done, I think he felt more free to make that decision to go back to the NFL, which is where he always wanted to go back to anyway. And the second part of that is definitely the sanctions that are going to be coming down from Michigan. He definitely didn't want to deal with any of that shit. So he's fuck it, I'll take the bigger contract in Los Angeles, and I'm gonna go back to the NFL. It's time.
He's hey, we won. I'm gonna go ahead and just leave now. See ya. Peace out.
He's like, I'm gonna tip. Good luck to you, Michigan, on your national championship ban for the next 4 years. Bye.
Just fix this shit going on. See ya.
I think they kind of. I don't know if it's been announced yet, but they should announce it soon. Oh gosh, Sharon Moore, the offensive coordinator for Michigan.
Yeah, Moore. Yeah, yep.
That dude should be announced as the head coach damn near immediately. I mean, he did good.
It seems like an easy choice, right?
Yeah, it seemed like a legitimate dude or in the building. The quicker you get that hire in, the quicker he can start, in-house recruiting those guys that are already there to stop them from jumping in the portal. So I would expect that to be announced pretty quick here. But we're going to move on to the next little bit of news here. So a couple of coaching hires. So the Titans, I'm going to list these next couple ones here real fast. The Titans have hired former Bengals offense coordinator Brian Callahan. The Falcons have hired Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris to be their next head coach. He was their interim in 2020. And the Panthers have hired former Buccaneers offensive coordinator David Canales to be their new offensive coordinator, to be their new head coach. So of those three, Brian Callahan, Raheem Morris, David Canales, who do you think is going to be the most successful of those three?
Most successful. I probably would. I was going to say the Falcons' new head coach, Morris, because the team might be a little bit more ready right now. Like Dave has his work cut out with the Panthers. And the Titans don't have an awful roster, I guess, but they still have a good amount of like gaps on their like roster. So, but I don't know if Raheem has hired his OC yet. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to give my full answer. I'll just say the Falcons just for the sake of the question. But also, I am curious of who they hire for the OC. I don't think he's filled it yet. But you can let me know if I'm wrong, if you saw something different.
So they have not filled it yet. But I think the expectation is they're going to be taking the Rams quarterback coach and passing game coordinator, who I cannot remember his first. I think it's like Ron Washington.
Oh yeah.
I apologize. I know I believe that's name? Slightly wrong. But he is the Rams passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach. So the expectation is that he's going to be at the top of the list to fill that position. So it should be a similar Sean McVay style, kind of Kyle Shanahan style offense that'll be brought to Atlanta. So
that makes sense. Okay, well, I'll just go with the Falcons. They're more ready. I know they kind of need a quarterback. They'll need to address that this offseason, but I'll go with Heem with the Falcons for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't think David would be a bad choice either. But I think definitely Raheem Morris seems to have had the hugest outpouring of respect from current players, former players, executive staff. Everyone seems to just have been coming out singing praises about this guy. So it kind of gives you a feel that he clearly is a good person for the position, because when you get that kind of resounding approval of a hire, obviously those people know something you don't. So I could agree with that too.
Jalen Ramsey said that he was like one of the best coaches in the entire league. Like he came out and just like said that. I'm like, damn, okay, which is crazy. I had no idea who he even was. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I don't know ball, but
that's okay. I don't think the 49ers knew who he is, and we played him twice a year, so couldn't stop us for his time. He was with McVay, so it's okay
for sure.
Sorry, I had to get that little bit of shit talking in there. Moving on, the Bears are hiring. I just had to. I couldn't help myself. The Bears are hiring former Seahawks offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, who is one of the top coordinators on the market, and the only reason he was on the market was because Pete Carroll retired, or kind of there's a mutual parting. Just real quick, I'm being as the regional Bears fan, I do want to get your thoughts on that. How are you feeling having Shane in the building?
Yeah. I mean, all things considered, I give the hiring of Shane Waldron probably like an A-. And again, like I'm not talking about like obviously ideal state probably would have been moving on from Eberflus and getting offensive minded coach for a head coach. So obviously I'm not giving like an A- to their entire thought process just to like hire, because when you really think about it, how many other people were out there that had like play calling experience, who are solid, who've done it before, you know what I mean? Like the pool was pretty small, like in terms of like who should be the right hire here. So for that reason, I do give like A-. I mean, like unless you want to promote like a QB coach or a passing game coordinator who's never really maybe called plays before, I don't know. But I see a lot of Bears fan on Twitter kind of like iffy about it, because like, oh, like what if he does well and he gets poached off and has a new job next year? I'm like, well, that'd probably be good. I mean, his offense did something well. And again, like not to rehash what we already talked about every single week since Brian Poles decided to keep Flus, but like that's why I think you should get that offensive minded coach, because he'll be there no matter what. But again, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole, and I don't need to fucking this rant again about that. But Shane Waldron, I like it. I think it's a W with all factors considered for the Bears.
And it's starting to kind of feel a little bit like these offensive coordinator up and coming guys. They almost start to feel like a dime a dozen. I hate to say it like that, but I mean, it feels like you can go to the Rams, you can go to the 49ers, you can almost go to the Packers and start just poaching off, quarterback coaches, passing game assistants, whatever it is, and have a decent coordinator. I mean, look at Bobby Slowick. It just really does feel like there are so many out there right now. So many guys that are learning the Shanahan system or learning the McVay system and can be useful to a team. So I feel like that hopefully will be becoming a thing of the past where we're like, well, you can't hire a defensive guy to be your head coach because you're going to consistently keep losing your offensive coordinator. So speaking of losing your coordinators, the Eagles, we're going to go through a couple firings here real fast. The Eagles have fired offensive coordinator Brian Johnson and defensive coordinator Matt Patricia. The Packers have fired defensive coordinator Joe Barry. Packers fans are rejoicing right now in the streets about that one. And defensive coordinator Vic Fangio is out in Miami after mutually parting ways. The suspicion or the belief was that he wanted to be closer to his family in Philadelphia, and Miami was okay with letting him pursue that opportunity. So which of those opportunities do you feel would be the most enticing to a new coordinator be?
Probably the Eagles OC. The weapons are so there. Jalen Hurts is still there. Coaching for a great team. Like, even though the Eagles just fell off, I feel like they're going to get a lot of like phone calls there. So yeah, I'll go with that. And then one note off that too, I'm really surprised like how much Brian Johnson struggled this past season, or I guess not even like the entire season, just like the last 8 games or so. Like, cause he was the quarterback coach last season, I think too. So he stepped into the OC role, and then I don't know what the fuck happened. He lost like the blueprint make that offense work at some point in the season. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, it seemed like very, very good stuff, and then boom. So I'll go with the Eagles offensive coordinator job as being like probably the best role out of those open ones right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, according to Nick Bosa, the 49ers put out the blueprint on how to stop the Eagles, and that seemed to have really derailed the remainder of the season. True. So, what?
Yep.
As much truth as you can put into that, maybe that is what happened. I kind of feel like, I don't know, I feel like the Packers job wouldn't be a bad opportunity because there is some decent talent there, and that the coaching position has some longevity to it. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No, but I think I think they have like 8 first-round picks on there on that like defense or something like that. It's a crazy amount. Now I don't know if they're all like top performing.
Washington had 8 first-round picks in there for a while, but you should know. No, I was kidding.
Yeah.
So. And with the Eagles, there's a little bit of a concern of one more non-super successful season, and the Eagles might move on from Nick Sirianni. So it may be a one-and-done opportunity there. And again, you kind of you're kind of stuck with, and I use that term loosely, stuck there for Eagles fans that might get mad about that. With Jalen Hurts. So even if, it's not a kind of style of play that you prefer to call a game, you kind of have to work around what Jalen Hurts works with in order to make your system work. So there is that.
That's fair.
So, but again, I don't think there's no bad opportunities in the NFL, except for the Raiders job, which we already talked about that, but story for another time.
For sure. Yeah.
Speaking of the Raiders, they've actually hired former Chargers GM Tom Telesco to be their new GM, which is an interesting hire, and I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts on that one, B.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting because not too many former like fired guys get like a new job in the same rolling title like 3 months after he got, not even 3 months. He just got fired, right? Like, didn't this happen like
3 weeks ago?
Some point before the end of the season? Yeah. Sorry, I was like losing my mind for a second. Time skip. So that's all. I'm like, damn. Okay, it's kind of random, and I didn't read too much into it. Like, why Mark Davis is like likes that Tom Telesco guy so much. Like, why him? Like, I don't know. But yeah, that's what I found weird, because not too many guys get the same title like literally right after they got fired. It's like the not for long like league. Like, usually you get fired, you're cooked.
Yeah. So I will say he did have a lot of success with drafting with first round picks. I mean, I think a lot of the Chargers talent from Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, who I know wasn't a first round pick, Justin Herbert, Penei Sewell. No, they got Rashawn Slater there.
Yep.
Joey Bosa, Derwin James. So they've had a lot of success with drafting with the first round or two. So maybe that's what enticed the Raiders, because I know they've struggled recently with their first round picks, or front half of the draft. But again, he kind of has a flip, because he's struggled in the back half of drafts, and the Raiders have been decent in the back half of drafts. That's where they've kind of made a lot of their money, it feels like. So I'm curious to see how that pairing works out.
I saw that you tweeted like either it's going to be super well, or it's going to be like just burnt down to the ground. Like, there's no middle with them. Either it's all going to work, or it's going to be this shit.
Yeah, this is going to be
which is honestly so like true.
Yeah, what's the Raiders? So, but it's either going to be great. Tom Telesco and Antonio Pierce and Mark Davis, or it's going to be an absolute shit show. So, I have a feeling I'm leaning towards the second option there, but. Who am I? Also, I also mentioned that Antonio Pierce really does feel like they put a contest out to see which fan wanted to coach the team, and he won. Yeah,
he was so happy.
I know he started off his podcast. I didn't even have to have the sound on to know what the fuck that sounded. Reggae. I was like, oh god, no, I don't need to hear that. We're good. He's a fanboy turned head coach. You're not supposed to be one of the fans.
That, but, players must love playing for him, though.
Oh yeah, especially if a team that would do that would hire a fan to be their head coach, it would be the Raiders. So in the Davis style, they're doing their own thing, and hopefully it works out. Again, he seems to, like you said, have the respect of the locker room. Guys really seem to like playing for him. So hopefully it works out for him. Couple last little bits here. We have some injuries regarding the conference championship. Starting off with Mark Andrews is expected to play this week for the Ravens. So it'll be his first time back, I think, since like week 8, where the hip drop took out his ankle. He had to get surgery on it. So he should be a little bit rusty, but he at least will be healthy for this game against the Chiefs. How much do you think that swings the game in the Ravens' favor, or does it do minimal to nothing for you? What are you thinking?
Probably it will probably swing a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Like, are you asking in regards to like point spread and stuff like that? Like, would the spread like widen with Andrews like in the actual officially cleared, or
in the actual game? How much do you think? Yeah.
You're like not like betting, but in like real life. Yeah, sorry, I'm like an addict, so I was like already going through mine. Like, should I already do a 2 touchdown bet on him?
Boutte is an addict. What's the guy's first name? Kayvon Boutte or whatever.
Oh yeah, with like the 9,000 bets.
Yeah, that dude's an addict.
That dude needs to call that 800 hotline number. He needs some help. 9,000 bets. My God. Man, that's crazy. But I mean, I think it helps a lot. Who was it? I think it was like Gronk. He made like a good point. He's like having 2 really good tight ends is like a fucking like cheat code. Like,
oh yeah.
So having Mark Andrews back, and then like they have Likely that he would know. Living like legend. But like I think just having both Andrews and Likely being able to be out there, do 2 tight end sets and whatnot, and change them out, dude. I mean, that's gonna be like awesome. I think. So yeah, I mean, it definitely helps him. I mean, I know he's Jackson's like top target. Like he's pretty much their wide receiver one in that offense. You know, so yeah.
And that was kind of referencing back to when Gronk played with Aaron Hernandez, and the Patriots had that 2 tight end unstoppable set. But yeah. So I think
then
that
he had to go on a crime spree. Did you hear me?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Had to go on that crime spree. Yeah. Oh God, no! I just had to throw that out there.
Moving on. No, I was kidding.
Aaron really screwed that up.
Yeah.
Just silence.
Yeah. No,
so Debo.
So Debo. That'd be good. No, I think Mark Andrews coming back to the Ravens will be good, depending on how rusty he is and how much he can do, but it should be good for them. And they also have another dog.
Yeah, for sure.
Isaiah Likely. Absolutely. But in terms of the 49ers, Debo Samuel status is uncertain for the NFC Championship game with a shoulder injury. He did actually practice in a limited capacity today. He looked pretty good. So I would expect for him to actually play this week. Not to mention Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was talking hella shit early in the year. So I know Debo wants to get back and run his ass over. So he's not missing this game for the world.
I saw a video on Twitter or X that he was running full speed. I mean, he was only on like air. But he was out there running routes and catching passes and stuff. Yeah, so he looked good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I kind of expect him to, especially when he was saying post game that he felt decent and the MRI come back clean. That's what I kind of knew at that moment. I was like, "There's no chance in hell that he's going to miss this game. He's going to do whatever it takes to get in there." But who might not be able to go is Lions center Frank Ragnow and guard Jonah Jackson have not practiced this week, and their status for the conference championship game is actually unknown. I will include Frank did finish last week's game. He had a knee sprain and ankle sprain in last week's game against the Buccaneers, and he did finish out that game. So I would expect him to play unless something happened and it tightened up on him throughout the week. But him and guard Jonah Jackson have not practiced this week at all. So we'll put that.
I'm with you on Frank playing. I think Frank's going to play. I think they said that post game too. He had like some quote, or this was someone saying he said this. I don't know if he actually did say it, but he's like, "Yeah, I played for Lions for a few years when like we weren't good. So there's no way in like hell I'm missing these games when we're like good now. Like I played with them when they're bad, and now that we're good, I'm not missing any like games. So I think he will at least try to give it a go." But Jonah Jackson is listed as like doubtful, so I don't know.
I guess Jonah hasn't been there when they were bad then. So
he's usually, like, listen, I don't have the same like grind, you know what I mean? Like you're that loyal. I'm no, kidding. But yeah, I think Frank's gonna play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the Lions have going on there. They're drinking water, but I think it was Sam Laporta week 18 had a hyperextended knee or a knee sprain or something like that. And they're like, there's no way. He's going to be out like 2-3 weeks. And sure as shit, that week he suited up. It's like, okay, I don't know what you guys are putting in that Flint, Michigan water now, but clearly it's making these dudes super good. I've never seen people sprain their knee and ankle and finish up the game.
Isn't their team mantra like hashtag like all grit or something like that? They're just like, I just envision them just like literally just like grunting in like the locker room, like you don't feel pain, and just go out there and play. It's like, all right, dude,
just go through the mantra
with like one leg.
You didn't feel anything anymore.
Give your life. All right, dude. All right, fine. I will.
They're just injecting Toradol shots right into their heart. They're like, fuck it.
Here's the morphine. Yeah. No, that's a good point, man. They just play through everything.
So with that does conclude our news of the week segment. From here, we're going to turn over to our fan recommended segment of Turn on the Spotlight. So I kind of give the spiel every time, but I kind of do like always giving the spiel. A couple weeks, I guess a month ago now, a subscriber of ours recommended that we did a segment where we look at players who maybe aren't getting the recognition they deserve and kind of turn the spotlight on them, kind of do a little, profile on them, let people know who these people are and why they should get the respect they deserve. This guy we have for the spotlight segment this week, we found him while we were actually doing our Panthers Panthers rebuild video. If you haven't had a chance to go check that out, I do highly recommend it now. His name is Frankie Luvu. He's a linebacker from Carolina. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to B so he can tell us all about Frankie.
Yeah, Frankie. Ooh, okay, so Frankie, dude, to be honest, man, like he doesn't get that much love, which is crazy. I actually feel bad. If I was good at making like cut up like videos, I would make him like a highlight reel. Because usually when we do this stuff, people out there, there's a couple highlight reels out there, and you can watch like a cut up game or something, right? To get like a feel for him. Dude, there's nothing. Okay, so Panthers fans, y'all gotta give Frankie more like love here, okay? But the background on Frankie, he's 6'3", 235-pound linebacker, again, for the Panthers. He was undrafted out of Washington State. He just finished his 6th year in the league. He played for the Jets for 3 seasons, and then now he's playing for the Panthers and just finished his 3rd season. So again, yeah, he's an off-the-ball linebacker. I'm going to rattle off his 2023 stats here. He had 113 total tackles, 5.5 sacks, which is crazy for an off-the-ball linebacker, and 5 passes defended. So he's out there in coverage too. And just to give you all a little more context on Frankie's play, his PFF stats, and again, like PFF should never, or one single data point should never be like the end all be all. But I think this helps kind of add to the picture of like Frankie's play. So he was 74. So he was graded as a 74 in run defense, a 90 in pass rush, which is wild again for off the ball linebacker. Like we're not talking about like a 3-4 edge linebacker. This dude's playing like Will. Okay, he has a 90 in the pass rush category, which is crazy. And then 65 in coverage. So a little bit of work needs to be done there, but again, not awful. So it brings his total to about 79. I was able to find a few videos on the good old YouTube on just watching Frankie. And again, like the one thing that shot off the screen for me is he's a sideline to sideline linebacker, which means he is fast, which makes sense. Like nowadays, you have to be a fast guy to play like linebacker. There's no more like 6'3", 250-pound guys who just like can't run. And he does a nice job. What I noticed, like he had a play against the Texans. He was lined up in the boundary, so like the short side, and there was some sort of like outside zone, like a stretch play. He was on like maybe the left hash, and he made the tackle and like the right sideline. Like so, he did a nice job of tracking like the near hip of the running back, and was able to keep up speed with him, evade blockers, right? So I'm gonna try to paint the picture of like how he's able to move on like the field, not just like north and south, but east and west too. And again, like being able to blitz is his strength. That's probably his biggest strength. I mean, it is his biggest strength. Again, he was great in 90 in pass rush, and not only can he just have nice like pass rush moves and know how to like get off blocks, but something I picked up on. And he must have blitzed a lot during his like career or learned this when he got into the league. But do you know how sometimes like D linemen when they know they're getting blocked, they go upfield and they kind of like wait a second and they kind of watch the quarterback's eyes and can like swat down balls. Like TJ Watt does that a lot. That's why he's called DJ SWAT, right? So that's what Frankie does us too. And I picked up on that because usually a lot of linebackers don't develop that like instinct, right? A lot of guys just like, boom, I'm gonna rush this, this guard, I'm gonna rush this tackle on this loop stunt here, and like, but he had like the wherewithal to kind of like rush and like, okay, I feel like I'm not getting there. Let me watch the quarterback's eyes, and that's honestly how he has like 5 pass breakups, right? Because he just got there, it's like, oh, he kind of felt it. He kind of felt the pass coming, jumped up, boom, down, right? So it's not only this like the skill of being able to pass rush, but also have that instinct to know like, okay, I'm not getting there. Let me like get in the way of this throwing lane. And like in the run game, tight ends cannot block him. Right, he has the ability to punch, extend, and shed well. His run fits are good. He's just a very solid guy, and I don't know enough about his game to say like, oh, like he's gonna be playing for the Panthers for 3 more years. He's gonna be turned to that franchise linebacker. I don't know enough about that yet, but I can say the Panthers do have a hidden gem in Frankie. And again, guys, I need at least like 5 more like highlight tapes of this guy, because he played hard every single week, man. But yeah, that's my breakdown on Frankie. I just want to give him some like love here. He had a great season. And yeah, I know he's going to come back next season, turn up again, and I am eager to see that.
Yeah, so I was trying to find something real quick, actually, because I did watch some of a couple of videos on him real quick right before we started doing this, because I wanted to familiarize myself with him. And he played linebacker in college at Washington State. I believe they ran a 3-4. Yeah, he started all 13 games as a rush linebacker. So I believe that Washington State actually did run a 3-4. So his actual senior year in college, he had 6.5 sacks and 12 tackles for loss. And kind of from even the tape I was kind of watching, yeah, I think in high school he was a defensive end too or something like that. But either way, even from the quick tape I was watching, the thing that kind of really stood out to me about him is he played in the offensive backfield. Like, and on every play, he was shooting gaps. He was, like you kind of said, getting hands on ball. But it was usually the defensive end. It was usually Brian Burns making the initial hit, and then it was Frankie right behind him to clean it up. It was like, this dude just has an absolute trigger. And even like what you're saying, that kind of sense of like knowing, hey, I'm not going to get home. Let me just get my hands up, watch quarterback's eyes. I'm assuming that comes from his time at Washington State, where again he was a rush linebacker, so was involved in getting after the quarterback a lot. But it's kind of interesting to see how that's translated, even though he's switched now to more of a middle linebacker position. Some of those instincts are still there for him.
Now that you say that, it makes a lot of sense as to why he can play in space so like well. Like a lot of guys who only play inside backer, like they kind of like act weird, like when they try to make tackles out in space. No, it's not really like scientific thing I'm saying, but like you can just tell like they don't feel comfortable working in like space. Frankie does. Like whenever he's like, I don't know, trying to force like that edge or just make a play out in like open space, he seems like at home almost. He's like, yeah, like I can do this easy. Like he doesn't panic or anything. Yeah. I seldom see him get like juked out or anything like that. He just seems like he can just play in space. Like it's the best way to like put it. So the fact he kind of played that rush linebacker role in like college, maybe he's out in space a lot then, right? It's kind of what he like did. So that's a good point.
Yeah, the kind of thing that's also interesting about that, as you mentioned, he's pretty good in coverage as well. So I'm curious to see, not curious about clearly that transition. He's invested a lot of time and effort into it to be able to go from, your main job is getting after the quarterback or setting edges or, whatever it might be for the rush linebacker, to now having to consistently drop into coverage. You're getting a hook curl. You got that, middle, whatever it's going to be, sometimes occasionally a flat. To be able to get comfortable into that, to sit here and pick up those zones, or even heaven forbid being in man coverage. I couldn't imagine being in man coverage against NFL running backs when you were playing rush linebacker in college. But he's clearly dedicated a lot of time to it. So, and I agree 100%. We need more highlight videos on Frankie Luvu. I mean, it's just insane. A couple of the quick little minute, 2 minutes that I saw from him during his highlights, I mean, the dude consistently was in the backfield cleaning stuff up, or first contact. Sometimes he had no fear in attacking that hole. So
Panther fans, you have a quota. You have a quota of 3 videos. I need 3 videos of Frankie throughout this like off season. Come on, guys. I'd be like, just put like a 3-minute video. I need some cool like background music. I need to see him flying around the field. Come on, y'all. Come on, man.
I need some J. Cole on it. I need something on it. I need something on it from South Carolina or North Carolina to represent. But yeah, we definitely need more highlight tapes for him. So thank you so much for that, B. That's a fantastic breakdown, as always. With that, we are going to be turning over to our NFL Games of the Week segment. We only have a couple left. There are 3 games left in this NFL season, which is kind of crazy to think about. I'm sad too. My girlfriend's rejoicing, but I'm sad about it. No, I'm just kidding.
My wallet might be too with all my money I'm losing with betting, but it's fine. It's cool.
Anyway, so it's funny because she doesn't know spring football exists yet.
Oh, hey, yeah. So she's gonna wake up one day. What are you watching? What is this?
It's funny. You told me actually.
You're like, hold on. It's like you'd be like Dwayne the Rock Johnson gave me a gift. He gave us spring football. So what's up?
This is the losers bracket of the Super Bowl. So teams that didn't make it play in bracket. This. Yeah,
these are just the backups.
Yeah,
that's
these
awesome.
games still count though. No, I was kidding. We only have a couple games left. We are in conference championship weekend. We have the Ravens versus the Chiefs, and the 49ers taking on the Detroit Lions. Getting off with the first one, the Saturday game is going to be the Chiefs versus the Ravens. The game's going to be in Baltimore, the city of Ray Lewis. ESPN predictor is giving the Ravens a 63.6% chance of winning. The Ravens are favored by 4, and it's going to be 50 degrees and cloudy, which is kind of surprising for January in Baltimore. But either way, B, who are you taking and why?
Oh man, dude, I've been thinking about this for the entire week. I've been flipping back and forth. I don't know. It's tough. So I'm gonna work through this with y'all right now. Okay, this is exactly what I'm thinking. I'm gonna go down a little like tangent here. Okay, I want the Ravens to win, not because I hate the Chiefs, right? But I just want to see Lamar Jackson if I can go over that hump. It'd be cool for the Ravens to get back there. Whatever, right? But the Chiefs are like the modern day Patriots with Brady. That's who Mahomes is. Mahomes is a living legend. And I listened to the radio this morning, and I didn't realize this. Did you know that this is a matchup between 2 quarterbacks who are on Hall of Fame tracks? Because if Jackson wins another MVP this year, I guess there aren't any quarterbacks who won multiple MVPs who didn't make the Hall of Fame. And y'all can fact check that. I mean, it's not my fact. I actually just heard it. But it's crazy. As a fan, this weekend is nuts. So you know what? I've been a meatball fan all season. I try to be, rational, use data to pick my picks, but sometimes I lead with my heart, with my football heart. And damn it, I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson is going to take down Mahomes and the Chiefs, and they're going to go over that hump. And I'm not going to say what my next pick is to spoil it, but I think it'll be a great game. And yeah, I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Boy, I'm right there with you. This has been a tough one to picture and imagine and feel out all week. On one hand, the Ravens have had a top defense in the league this year. Lamar Jackson has had a good season. To me, MVP is questionable, but he's had a good season. He's played well. He's clearly grown and matured into the position, especially from the passing aspect. I mean, we haven't really seen him have to be, Superman too much this year, where he's just finding running lanes and just taking off. He's been playing the position well. And on the other hand, you have the Chiefs, and it's Patrick Mahomes. And how do you bet against Patrick Mahomes? And it's not like the Chiefs have a bad defense either. The Chiefs' defense isn't a slouch. Just like the Ravens are number 1 in defense, and the Chiefs are number 3. So Travis Kelce showed a lot of life last week against the Bills. So it's one of those things where it's hard. It's not going to be an easy game. This is going to be a slugfest. It's going to come down to a final possession, I'm sure. But I'm going to pick the Ravens. Like we discussed early on in the season, this year just seems to be the year you just don't pick against the Ravens. Not to mention the Super Bowl 58 logo and that whole conspiracy theory thing about this team and that team.
The script.
The Ravens purple, the script. So I'm going to go with the Ravens in this one. I think that their defense does a good job of stopping the Chiefs' passing game as much as you can stop Patrick Mahomes, and kind of makes their offense a little bit more one-dimensional. So for that, I'm going to go with the Ravens. So moving on to the final game of the week, which I do want to include. We have predicted, we have predicted every game right this playoffs aside for the Cowboys-Packers game.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the only one that we didn't predict right. So shout out to us.
Yeah.
Go team.
Stupid Cowboys. Come on. Yep.
Stupid Cowboys. Sorry. Anyway, with that, moving on, the last game is the Lions versus the 49ers. This game is going to be in Santa Clara. The ESPN predictor is giving the 49ers a 74% chance of winning. 49ers are favored by 7, and it's going to be 70 degrees and sunny in Santa Clara.
Yeah, so this one was not that hard, so it won't be that much of a build-up for me to give my answer. I'm going to go with the Niners. They're home. They've been one of, if not the best team all year. It probably won't rain, so Purdy be out there dropping dimes. You know what I'm saying? Out there, boom, boom, boom. But I will say, 7 points does seem like a lot for a Sunday, championship game. 7 points does seem like a lot. So if you're betting the spread, stuff like that, maybe you take the Lions side. But just because I still think the Niners will win. But we just talked about the Lions. We just talked about them. They're going to be headbutting each other in the locker room. They feel no pain. They take shots or something. No one feels nothing out there. They're going to be psyched for this. But give me the Niners, man. Easy.
Yeah, and I'm a 49ers fan, so I'm not going to pick against the 49ers. But to add a little context to it, too, Jared Goff the Lions have played in a dome, actually, for the last 10 weeks, which is kind of insane to think about what the odds of that are actually happening. But they haven't played an outside game, I think it's since the middle of October. This season, surprisingly enough, Jared Goff has actually struggled in outdoor games. Historically speaking, Jared Goff has not done well against the 49ers. I believe he's 3-5 in his career. The biggest concern issue I have for the 49ers is going to be 2 parts. First of all, they have one of the best Lions have the best run stopping defense in the league this season, which is kind of surprising, but they do. They are monsters in their front 7. So that is going to make the 49ers a little bit more one-dimensional, but no rain to throw the ball around the yard. Shanahan seems to trust him. He had him throw 40 attempts last week in the rain. So maybe not the end of the world. The other part, Debo, he will play. That's, from everything I'm saying, he will play. But how healthy will he be? Does he take one bad shot to the shoulder and he's out again? And what does that look like? Last big concern I have for this game is the Lions did a really good job against the Buccaneers with their blitz packages. Their timing of it, the speed they come with. I mean, I think they got Baker on 3 different slot blitzes. So it's something they clearly have practiced well. Their timing is efficient, and they come screaming off that edge. So the 49ers are not good in their blitz pickup, and they do have a bottom 15, bottom 12 O-line. So there might be some struggles there. That might be throw a big wrench into this game for the 49ers. So I do want to lay that all out there, but I still I'm going with the 49ers on this one. I think they're able to pick up the blitzes. They some quick screens to Debo, end arounds to Debo, whatever it is, helps get some of that pressure off. Purdy's really good at recognizing it. Now that he's seen the packages against the Buccaneers, he should be able to make adjustments for it. So is Shanahan. So for all those reasons and more, I'm going to take the 49ers in this one. So, guys, with that ends the majority of our podcast. We are now going to get into our segments of the week. For those that don't know, we do 2 segments every week. We release the podcast, then break the segments off and release those later on in the week. For those of us that are just joining us back, as this is what you wanted to come see, wanted to see the Washington Commanders rebuild, welcome. You missed B's fantastic breakdown of Frankie Luvu, the linebacker from the Panthers. Also, if you are subscribed to us, please go to your homepage, screenshot you being subscribed to us and email it to us. The email will be in the description, but that will enter you into the contest to win a free jersey from the NFL shop website that we will be giving away to one lucky subscriber as a thank you for subscribing to us. And with that, let's get right into this, B. We're going to start off with our Washington Commanders rebuild segment. So,
hell yeah,
we got this. So we did start this really with the Carolina Panthers rebuild. So the rules that we're kind of establishing for this for ourselves, even if the hires didn't work out that way as we kind of had it written down, we are still going to try to stick to it, see if we can't build this out like a real offseason. So I preface that because our head coach isn't Ben Johnson, but we do know Ben Johnson is the favorite for the position right now. So please don't come scream at us. We're preferencing it. So we already gave Ben Johnson to the Panthers because that was before it was announced that Ben Johnson was pretty much a lock for the Commanders. So with that said, let's start with the hires. Obviously, Adam Peters is going to be the new GM. That already happened at the time of us making this, so I'm not going to rewrite current day right now. I do believe that's a great hire for them. He's coming over from San Francisco, where he played a pivotal role in rebuilding that roster from 2017 on. He was key in drafting George Kittle and Fred Warner, Jair Brown, a lot of the fifth, third, fourth round stars they have there. He played a huge part in drafting. So that's a great pickup for Washington. For head coach, I'm going with Ben Slowick because they do have that connection from being San Francisco. Ben Slowick was the offense coordinator from Houston. He was the passing game coordinator with San Francisco, so he comes from that same Shanahan system. He also is very familiar with working with number 2 overall quarterbacks with big arms. So just as a little tease there about what's coming up in the next little couple minutes here. Yeah. And he actually started his career off in Washington as a video assistant. So it's kind of a little bit of a coming home for him to where he actually started off his NFL coaching.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Young Bob out there just re-recording stuff. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
The offense coordinator, I'm going with Ben McDaniels. He's the current wide receiver coach and offensive passing game coordinator for Houston. So he'll be following Bobby Slowick over to Washington. Just kind of someone who's a little familiar with the system, can help build up that pass game in Washington. And for defensive coordinator, I'm taking Chris Hewitt, who has been the Ravens secondary coach since 2015, and he's developed a lot of talent there. You can think Marlon Humphrey. You can think Kyle Hamilton, for example, a couple of guys that he's worked with. He currently is also their passing game coordinator, so he's out there specifically trying to help Mike McDonald stop the opposing teams' passing games. So, I think that'd be a great opportunity for him. He's kind of been in the rotation for potential DC opportunities, so I think it'd be great for him to finally get this opportunity in Washington. And knowing Washington's back end is what needs a lot of work, he should be able to step in and help like Emmanuel Forbes get his career back on track.
That makes sense.
And then for quarterback, we'll go with the draft pick. I was going to say for quarterback, we'll go with the draft pick. So
that makes sense. I had one. I have a couple questions for you. Okay. I kind of want to throw this out there, mostly because I kind of feel bad for him. I think he's been trying to get a head coaching job for like 4 or 5 years, and it's just not working out for whatever reason. Eric Bieniemy, what do you think about him? He's already in house there. He's there. He's been around the game longer than a Bobby Slowick or a Ben Johnson. He also has experience coaching younger quarterbacks too. Like, do you think that's a viable shot for Eric? Like, I know they kind of talked to him and they actually officially interviewed him too. And they kind of said it wasn't just because of like a courtesy or a respect thing, but they actually had some sort of like interest in him. Do you think that could be a solid choice?
That's a good question. It's a really, really good question. I did not look up Washington's offensive numbers from the season prior. I would probably go with no, because I mean, again, from what I did kind of glimpse throughout the season, checking with Washington, their offense was never really in the best situation, and that can be argued lack of talent, lack of quarterback play, whatever you would like to argue about that. I do think he's a great, innovative play caller. I think he comes with some really unique, cool designs, especially for red zone. I believe Washington. I did look this up. Washington was, I think, top 3 in red zone percentage. Like, so once they get to the red zone, they convert those opportunities into touchdowns at the 3rd highest rate in the NFL. And I think that's definitely a testament to his creativity as an offensive play caller, and definitely shows that he should have been getting more respect for his creativity in Kansas City. And I do think he should get another opportunity somewhere to be an OC with another team. I just don't think he showed enough there to make me warrant wanting to give him a head coaching opportunity, especially in Washington. I think it's just one of those things where you kind of just want a fresh restart. Even with Sam Howell, he did have a hot start to the season. He definitely fell off in the back half of the year. I don't know if that's because the enemy checked out, or I don't know exactly why he fell off, but he all of a sudden did fall off and start looking atrocious. I think he got benched at one point for
Jacoby
Brissett.
Yeah, Jacoby. Yep.
So, it tells me he's not doing enough to help Sam Howell develop into at least not getting benched. So I'm not sure that's the kind of situation I want to put my, brand new number 2 overall quarterback. I'd rather take the guy that just literally worked with the number 2 overall quarterback, who has a lot of similar characteristics to Drake May, and put him in that situation to work with him. Or I'd take another young offensive mind that's up and coming. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's probably why I want to go with Eric Bieniemy, but he does deserve another OC opportunity. In fact, a great one. I would love to see him go work with Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. I think that'd be a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah, that would be a great fit. I didn't think about that. No, that'd be a great fit for him. Yeah, no, that'd be great. Damn, yeah. One last question is like the staff stuff. So I'm gonna throw a name out there for DC, and you might cringe. Okay. That people might cringe at this name because it's not a very popular name, but I think he can give some value to that staff. What do you think about Mike Zimmer, former Vikings head coach, as DC? I don't think he has a job right now, but my logic is, right, so he's a defensive mind. They are probably going to bring in a younger OC to be head coach. It might be of some value to bring more of a senior guy on that staff, maybe make him like some sort of like assistant head coach, help with the day-to-day things with the team, and also just let them just like handle the defense. Like, he's been there before. He's done it for a long time. Just kind of go do your own thing with that defense. I'm going to handle the offense. I can rely on you for your input with like the team because you've done this before. You've done my job before. So how much did you want to throw up when I brought out Zimmer's name?
I didn't want to throw up. I don't have a problem with Mike Zimmer. He was a good coach for the Vikings while he was there. He's a solid defensive mind. I probably wouldn't go that route in this situation, because I feel like it's one of those situations where, Bobby Slowick is young. He only had one season as a offensive play caller even. So my concern with that, and as maybe made up of a concern as this might be, because I do not know these people, but my concern would be there might be a almost too leaning on Mike Zimmer, almost like you're giving up too much of the reins. Almost like, Mike, you just do it because you've done this before, you know how to do it. And you kind of want this new guy to come in and find his own voice. You want him to be his own person, be his own coach, be his own leader. And you don't want that to be potentially overshadowed by this guy who has done it before, who has had success. And, all of a sudden now it's like, well, why would we listen to Coach Zimmer's right here? I'm just going to go ask Coach Zimmer about it. You kind of don't want that kind of a situation. So I think I'd rather just let Bobby come in and be his own person and take over that kind of a role. But that's just my thoughts. Again, I don't know these people. That may not be what that dynamic would actually play out as. So, but
I got you. No, I think that's like a good point. Yeah.
And those are really good questions, B. Really, really good questions. Thank you for that. You have any more before we move on to transactions?
No, that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So for transactions, we're starting off with Washington at $84 million in cap space. Our biggest needs for this offseason, we need to come away with a new quarterback. We need to come away with some new tackles, some new edge. I need some linebackers, and I need a tight end. The big one we're going to start off with restructures and releases. And I did promise, if you guys follow us on Twitter, I did promise a big trade in this segment here. So we will get to that in just a second. So I'm going to restructure Terry McLaurin, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Andrew Wiley, and Nick Gates. In those restructures, which again, I'm not releasing any of them, I'm just restructuring the contracts, that's going to get me up to $113.4 million. So what, a $30 million increase that I just generated, which should put us at the top, or at least in the top 3 of cap space for this offseason. This is going to allow us to make any moves we want. We're not going to get outbid for any player we want. This is our time. So the big trade that I'm going to do for Washington involves a disgruntled receiver who just got knocked out of the playoffs, maybe looking for a fresh start somewhere else. I'm not sure how much he wants to be moved, but I'm not sure the team that has him right now really wants to stay with him. With that in mind, I am trading Stephon Diggs from the Buffalo Bills to the Washington Commanders. In return, Buffalo is getting a 2025 first-round pick, Jahan Dotson, and a 2024 fifth-round pick. Now, that may seem like a steep price. You're trading Jahan Dotson. You're trading him first next year. If you're a Bills fan, you're thinking, why first next year? I want this year's first. Stephon Diggs is not worth the number 2 overall pick. He's 30. In his initial trade, he wasn't even traded for a top 10 pick. It was traded for, I believe it was first of that year, which is in like the mid-20s, a third and a fifth. So this is fair compensation for Stephon Diggs. It gives the Bills an opportunity to have a young, potentially up-and-coming receiver. I know he did struggle this season, but he could get back on track next year. If not, you still have a second first that you can use to draft another receiver replacement. It also frees up a bunch of cap space for the Bills. I think it frees up about 14 more million cap space. You can re-sign Gabe Davis. You can use that to go out and improve the O-line, or maybe pick up a different receiver you might like to add some depth to that room, or maybe, something on the defense might help. But that's the big trade I'm making for that. Stephon Diggs is now a Washington Commander. Jahan Dotson, a first and a fifth, are going back to Buffalo for them to use. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious to get your thoughts on that one real quick.
Dude, I don't want to speak for Washington fans, but the idea of having Diggs should get you pumped up. I mean, I know there's, that's an awesome deal right there. I know you guys might be saying, well, we have to give up two picks and a player for him, but I mean, I think they understand. But let me just hit that point home. When you're drafting a younger quarterback, right, a rookie, you need that bona fide wide receiver 1 option. Now, McLaurin, I don't want to put any shade on him. Scary Terry is scary. He is that dude. He is a beast, right? But I think we can all say Diggs might be another tier higher, right? So just imagine that offense. Imagine that passing game with Diggs and Scary Terry right there. Jeez, man. And then you did a great job of flipping $84 million in cap space to 113. I mean, now you have 2 studs out there in offense. You have a stud rookie quarterback. You have a lot of money go after in the market. Well, I guess the market would happen kind of before the draft it'll start, but whatever. You guys get my point here.
We'll get to the market in a second. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get that point in a second. But that would be one nice looking offense.
I'm kind of curious. So give me just your quick thoughts. If you're a Bills fan watching this because you saw the thumbnail, you saw Stephon Diggs on here, and you're like, what the fuck do you mean Stephon Diggs? And you're like, what's going on? How are you feeling as a Bills fan right now?
I would be a little bit conflicted. Before the season, there were somewhat Twitter rumors of Diggs being traded, and Bills fans be like, "Oh, you're stupid. Diggs is not getting traded. He's our guy. This and that. You're dumb for even thinking that, right?" And now I've seen the narrative change on him a little bit throughout the season, right? Like there was some weird chemistry, or I don't know if actually was like he was unhappy with the team, right? But some weird stuff came out during like the season, him not getting along with the staff or Josh Allen. And then, of course, now he's a little bit disgruntled, which you already mentioned before this section. So as a Bills fan, though, I would be like, yeah, I still want to keep them, right? When you have like a wide receiver one, you don't want to really let go of that guy. I mean, unless you know for sure who you have coming up or who you're going to go target, that gap will still hurt, right? That gap on that team was still hurt. So I would be a little bit hurt or sad if I was a Bills fan and Diggs got traded, but that's the business.
Yeah, and you are getting Jahan Dotson back, who was the Penn State, I think it was the first-round pick or second-round pick for Washington 2 years ago, who had a solid rookie year. He did, again, fall back a little bit this year, but he is a young, up-and-coming, exciting player that should pair well with what Josh Allen likes to do, which is hug the pigskin deep. So I'm sure those Commanders fans that aren't too enthused about having to let him go either. But, that's kind of, unfortunately, kind of the way the business works. You got to give something to get something. Again, you still have a 2025, first round pick. You could then flip that with your current first round, maybe even move up and get Romeo Dunze, or you flip it and get Malik Neighbors. So there's still some stuff you can do with it to try to still get another new wide receiver one in this situation that comes in cheaper with maybe less baggage. So don't fret too much, Bills fans. Your future is still bright there. And there's options to what you can do with this pick. Moving on to free agency, I'm going to start with the obvious stuff, the less exciting stuff. We still do have, I'm still captain at 13.4. I know Diggs comes in, is going to be a little bit more. I factor that into the free agency portion of the salary cap. So re-signs him immediately, bringing back wide receiver Curtis Samuel. He had a solid year, or I guess saw a couple years in Washington. I'm bringing him back in for a 3-year, $36 million deal. About $12 million a year. So that gives us our slot receiver, our wide receiver 3. So now we have Scary Terry on one side, Stephon Diggs on the other. We got Curtis Samuel in the slot. Hard to kind of pass up on that offense. I'm also bringing back Cameron Curl.
That's a three-headed monster.
Mm-hmm. I'm also bringing back Cameron Curl, the safety, who's a 7th-round pick for Washington. Completely underrated dude. That's another guy he'll probably be next week's spotlight, will be Cameron Curl. I'm bringing back on a 4-year, $62 million deal, getting the man the money he deserves. He's a top safety in the game, and hopefully with this new deal, he'll start getting that actual recognition. And we had a little bit of a uncertain feelings about this one, but we ended up bringing back Kendall Fuller, a 3-year, $45 million deal. I know he's 28. He had a kind of an up and down season from what we could find and see. I'm bringing it back with the idea that I want him to be corner 2. I want our alpha corner, our number 1 lockdown corner, and I want him to be on the opposite side. I think he's a solid number 2 still, a really good number 2 even. I think he's a low grade number 1. He's not usually the guy you want covering your Stephon Diggses, your Justin Jeffersons. He's the guy you'd rather have him covering Jordan Addison. So I'm going to bring him back because we need something there, and he's one of the better guys on the market right now that's still in a decent price range. So for my free agent signings, free agent signings that I'm bringing it from the outside, I'm stealing Dalton Schultz, the tight end from Houston. He's coming over with Bobby Slowick too. I'm getting him for 3 years, $39 million. I think he's 27, 28. He's been a solid receiving option in Dallas and now in Houston. So that should upgrade our passing attack even more in Washington. Left tackle, I'm bringing in Jonah Williams on a 2-year, $30 million deal. So he's kind of coming in cheap considering for a tackle. And the reason for that is because he switched to right tackle for the Bengals this past season, which is not his natural position. But they did sign Orlando Brown, so there's kind of those things where it had to happen. And he did not do well. He struggled. He ended up even getting hurt a little bit, but I think it was like PFF had him like a 56 grade. So I'm bringing him back in. I'm getting him for cheap on a 2-year, $30 million deal, $15 million a year. I'm switching him back to his natural position of left tackle and seeing if he can't rebound. If not, I can cut bait, move on. But at least I have someone there who's a little bit more of a known commodity. For linebackers, I'm bringing in Josie Jewell, who's from Denver, who's a guy I know they hate to be losing, but due to casualties, he might end up being one. Great receiving coverage linebacker. And again, another underrated guy that just needs to get more recognition. But because he is an underrated linebacker, you're getting him up for a sweet deal, 2-year, $15 million deal. He should bring an immediate upgrade at the position. He's a little bit older. I think he's 29. So he brings some veteran leadership to the position. I'm also going to pair him with Azeez Al-Shaair, the former 49er linebacker who went to the Tennessee this past season. Azeez is good as a run stuffer. He kind of lacks a little bit in the pass coverage area. But if you can bring him on a blitz every occasionally, he's going to make you money. So I'm bringing him in on a 3-year, $20 million deal. So, B, what are your thoughts on that section?
No, I love that. I think the re-signs make sense. I think the signings make sense too. Just going back to the corner spot, Washington fans, I mean, of course, you guys might think different than me, which you guys should. You guys know more about your team than I do. But I think that the corner one spot is going to be, I think, a focus for you all for this offseason. Like, I know you guys have Forbes. He's a high draft pick last year, and he kind of went through his rookie lumps over this past season, which is normal. And to your point, E, like you made a great point. Kendall Fuller's more of like a cornerback 2 right now at this point in his career, and I know you guys might be already be typing, 3 years, $45 million, too much money. He can walk for that price. Okay, maybe the front office try and get some hometown discount on him, maybe a 2-year deal worth like 25 or 20 or something like that, something like cheaper, right? But I think that cornerback spot is going to be a bigger. It has to be a high priority for this offseason. Now, I don't know if they address it the way we do here, but I know that they have to address that somewhere. And a little bit of a teaser, we do give a little bit of help in the draft, but I do want to lead off with that point. I also love the linebacker signings. Jewell is nice. I know you said he's very like underrated guy. He really is. He plays hard. He's fast. It's pretty good in coverage. But he plays good ball for the Broncos. Jonah Williams makes sense. He struggled at right tackle, moving back to left tackle, get him for about $15 million a year. That's nice in that market. Dalton Schultz, I think, will be solid. I don't know if he's like the franchise tight end for them, but for a 3-year deal, it's good. It's good. So I think the signings make sense. And again, this is all pointing towards the offense as being like this bolstered up, man. That offense will be scary, right? With Schultz, Curtis Samuel, Scary Terry, Diggs. I don't want to give away the quarterback pick, but with a nice rookie quarterback, dude, that offense will be solid. So, dude, great work with the signings, dude. This is looking awesome. This is looking great for sure.
Yeah, and so with all that, we do still have $25 million in cap space. We're not going to use all our money. We still have to pay about $10 million in draft picks. So then we'll roll over that remainder and have a little bit for in-season, needs as they come up. We need to sign a linebacker because someone got hurt, kind of thing. So moving on to the draft, we do have, I believe it's 7 picks in this draft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About 9 picks.
No, wait, 9. Yep.
So our biggest needs still are quarterback, edge, and interior offensive line, all areas we weren't able to address in free agency. So without further ado, the first round pick, number 2 overall, we are drafting J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan. No, I'm still kidding. I know someone just shit themselves when they heard that. We are going to go with Drake May. We're going to go with Drake May out of UNC. Big arm quarterback. Josh Allen 2.0. Which should pair well with Stephon Diggs, who just got done playing with Josh Allen. Bobby Slovic, it should be a great pairing because he's just going to work with CJ Stroud, who has a lot of similarities to Drake May, big arm quarterbacks that love to just huck it all over the yard. He should really help set the offense easier for Drake. A lot of motions I'm expecting, a lot of bunch formation, so you can easily identify what the defense is trying to do or this man or zone. So I think that'd be a fantastic pairing for Drake. In our Drake May breakdown, that's kind of situation we specifically said he needed to go to a situation that had a great offensive-minded head coach or coordinator and had to go to a team with a lot of weapons. So this is the perfect pairing for him. Second round pick, number 36, we're going with quarterback Quinion Mitchell of Toledo. Smaller name kind of guy, but I think he's getting a lot more draft buzz. I'm not sure he's actually going to be available in this slot. Hopefully he is. There's a lot of good QB talent in this draft, so hopefully it kind of pushes him down the board a little bit. He gave up an average passer rating of 54.7 in all of college. An average passer rating of almost 55. I mean, that's just unreal numbers. He also had 5 picks in 2022. So just an absolute stud, ball hawk kind of corner. He should pair well with Hewitt, who should also revive, hopefully, Emmanuel Forbes' career as well. That gives you a brand new corner 1, corner 2, and you still have Kendall Fuller in there to spell them as he needs to if they start to struggle. With our other second-round pick, number 40, I wanted to bring in a little bit more help at the linebacker position, so I drafted Jeremiah Trotter Jr. out of Clemson. It's a slight reach, but I love the upside that he brings, and he should be able to learn a lot from Josie Jewell. You can then let Jewell walk in 2 years, and you have your instant new Mike replacement in Jeremiah Trotter. Third round pick number 67. I'm going guard Cooper Beebe out of K-State. Beebe. Again, a slight reach, but he is one of the best guards in the draft. And again, he's one of those guys I do expect him as we get closer to the draft to start creeping up draft boards. So he's probably not going to go where he's slotted, which I think is like 80s, 70s right now. So you're probably going to have to reach a little bit for him. Next, third round pick. I'm going to make another trade here. I'm going to trade with whatever team in the 80s will trade with me. I didn't go with a specific team here. I'm setting our third round pick number 100, and our fourth round pick number 102, to let's just call it pick 81. And I'm drafting edge Gabriel Murphy out of UCLA. The dude had 105 hurries over his last 3 years, with 43 hurries coming last season. For those that don't know, quarterback hurries in college usually translate really, really well to the NFL. It means you're getting to the quarterback. You have good pass rush moves. You have a great motor. You're getting after the guy. So if I'm taking a guy that has 105 hurries over the last 3 years and 43 over the last season, I think that's one of the top in all of the draft prospects, actually. I expect him to be able to come in and produce pretty quickly. Now, again, I'm having to move up to get him. I'm having to package picks to go get him because he's one of those guys that I do think will start moving up draft boards as we get closer to the draft. But I think he's a guy that's going to be a plug-and-play, day-one kind of guy for you, and you're getting him in the mid-third-round pick section. Plus, sometimes having 9 picks is just too much. So after that, pick 81, we're going to fall all the way to the fifth-round pick, number 137, which we actually did trade to Buffalo for Stephon Diggs. We don't have that pick anymore either. Sixth-round pick number 180. I went again with edge with Jasheen Davis out of Wake Forest. Again, he had 55 hurries and 15 sacks over the last 2 seasons. So again, another guy, he can maybe help come in as a situational pass rusher. I think he had 8 sacks last year. So he's one of those guys you're kind of hoping he becomes more of a situational guy. Yeah, you're not expecting him to be an every down guy, but if you can get a little more depth and rotation there, it should help out. And with our 7th round pick, our final pick in the draft, number 219, this guy has not declared yet. I have a feeling he will, and I really, really loved watching his tape when we were watching the Drake May tape. He stuck out. I'm going with tight end Bryson Nesbitt out of UNC. They have great chemistry at UNC. He's going to be a huge red zone target. Gives you just another weapon that you can utilize when you get inside that 20-yard line. Like I said, it's one of those guys that Drake May is already comfortable with, so it's going to be just a natural pairing. So that's my draft for Washington. B, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think this is a great mock. I really love Cooper Beebe too. That guard. I know it's a reach play, but he's a guy who can play for many, many, many years. I've heard a lot of great stuff about him. I love the pick too of also Drake May going 2nd overall. one question. This is kind of like speaking more to the fans of Washington. What would you, or what can you say? Will you say to Washington fans who might be a little bit discouraged from for taking Drake May over like a hometown kid in Caleb, right? 'Cause I have seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about that, like, oh, it'll be awesome for Caleb to play here. He grew up in the DC area, best quarterback in this class as of right now. So what we say to those fans, like, hey, like, I don't know if I want Drake May. I want Caleb.
Well, I mean, I hate to be the guy that tells the kids Santa doesn't exist, but unfortunately, he's not gonna be there at 2. If you guys want to go check that out, we did a whole Bears video about Caleb Williams or Justin Fields. But from every inclination I'm seeing, every story I'm being told, the insiders are reporting this, is that the first round pick is not for sale. It seems to be that the Bears intended to take Caleb Williams. They're even touting Caleb Williams in their offensive coordinator interviews, and that's just the expectation of, they're taking, Caleb Williams. And of course, you can't directly come out and say that because, the draft needs its excitement and its hype and its mystery. So, but it's been pretty clear, it seems, from everyone else inside the building that Caleb Williams is the guy for Chicago. So, I mean, unless you're going to offer up the next 5 first-round picks, and half your roster, I don't see any way that the Bears are going to trade out of that spot. So, as much as I would love to give them, Caleb Williams, that'd be the obvious choice. I just think it's kind of one of those situations where you got to take what's going to be available there.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, and like, I just want to add to that point too. Drake May is damn good too. I mean, there's some people out there who say Drake May could go first, right? So if you're a fan of this like squad, I would not feel bad with taking Drake May. I would do it in a heartbeat if I were y'all. Because a lot of people view Caleb and Drake May as like 1A and 1B, right? And getting, someone like a Bobby Slowick or Ben Johnson who can just like totally just, be able to work with Drake May from day one and do the things that he does well and add weapons around him. That offense will be nice. I'm beating a drum about that, but like, I don't say, at least on paper, how that offense does not do well. Like, I would expect them to be at least top 12 in total offense if somehow everything that we just laid out happens. I mean, that'd be one great offense. And then again, like, the edge rush helped there, the linebacker helped here, like the depth, and we got a corner in the second round, which we already said corner is kind of like a weak spot for this team. Let's draft someone in the second round that's and invest there. I just completely love this mock draft, bro. You killed it, man, for sure.
Thanks, bro. Hopefully you guys liked it too. Let us know in the comment section what you thought. Did you like what we did? Did you like our additions? Would you agree with that kind of trade for Stephon Diggs? Go down in the comment section. Let us know what you think. And while you're down there, give us a like, a subscribe. We do this every week. We're putting out videos where these take a lot of time, but we love doing it. We love talking with you guys. So give us a like and subscribe while you're down there. If this is where we're losing it, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys, especially going over something as cool as the Washington Commanders rebuild. Until next time, it's been Emmett. It's been B. We'll see you guys. So for those of us that are sticking around, I'm going to take a second to catch my breath because I think that was about a 40-minute conversation. That is going to be fun.
Dude,
I promise this next one won't be as bad, guys. We are going to do a JJ McCarthy draft profile. He seems to be the hot name since he declared about a week or two ago. I'm going to include in here this part right here before we get too far into this JJ McCarthy draft profile. If you are subscribed to this channel, guys, we are doing a giveaway for our subscribers. Go to your homepage, take a screenshot. The email will be down in the description. Send us an email with just your name and the screenshot, and that will enter you into the competition, to the giveaway, to get a free jersey from the NFLshop.com. Yeah, guys, have until January 31st. We'll spin the wheel doing the giveaway on February 1st. Don't miss your opportunity, guys, to get in on that. So with that, let's hit right into this draft profile for JJ McCarthy. So for the game, I was pleasantly, for the first time, I feel like since we started doing this, I was pleasantly surprised. So the games I watched were East Carolina, Purdue, Iowa. And for those that don't know, we actually did do a draft profile for JJ before the season. And at the time, we had him graded as a 3rd or 4th round pick with the potential upside of being a 1st round pick. It was his 2nd year starting for Michigan. He looked raw last year. But we said we needed to see him work on the tools and refinements to actually kind of to move up the draft board. And pleasantly surprised to say that he did. He showed us exactly what we wanted to see. He has come out this season and has been fantastic. And for those that don't know that, you're kind of like, dude, what the fuck are you guys talking about? He was just hand the ball off all the time. Well, you're not actually wrong. So he actually did. He only had 713 passing attempts in college, which is only 100 more than Justin Fields had, and about half of what Mahomes threw. And he actually has the fewest attempts of any quarterback prospect in this draft outside of Joe Milton. So he is still young and raw. But what he showed us on tape, he has to be the polished prospect we've seen. And that includes Caleb Williams, that includes Drake May, that includes all. He fundamentally speaking, there is no more polished quarterback in this draft than JJ McCarthy, which is insane considering how little he's played. It kind of tells you how much more upside potentially there is to go with him. So his pros are he's got great pocket presence, probably the best pocket presence in the draft that we saw. It's just he always knows where the rush is coming, and he never moves more than he has to. It's just a couple shuffle steps here, a couple shuffle steps there. He doesn't really tuck the ball and start running. He also does a fantastic job of keeping a good throwing base and keeping his eyes downfield. So even while he's moving away from pressure, he's still reading the defense and trying to find an open guy. He already has a lot of experience running NFL level concepts. From the tape we watched, they were running a lot of smash concepts, a lot of slot post concepts. They were running switch concepts. So it should be things that once he gets to the NFL, he's already familiar with the reads and should help him adapt to the NFL style system quicker and should be help. So he should look more pro ready. There should be less of an adjustment period, is I guess essentially what I'm trying to say there. He rarely seemed flustered back there. So he, rarely was there a time where they're just trying to get pressure up the middle, and you can see he's just scrambling and running for his life. The whole his mechanics break down. He's throwing, missing throws, whatever it was. He always seemed to be very well poised, composed back there. He gets through his quicks, he gets through his reads quickly and is seldom wrong with his reads. He does a great job setting up defenders with his eyes, and even he's really good with pump fakes. I remember on one we saw against East Carolina, it was against cover 2, a smash concept. It was like the 3rd or 4th time they had run it. The corner was kind of baiting him into a throw, so he pump faked the flat, got the corner have to commit to that roll, and was able to drop it in for a touchdown right behind him in front of the safety. He is accurate. He really does have some sound throwing mechanics. He's also solid throwing on the run. I wouldn't say he's great at it. I would say he's the best in the draft in it, but he can get it done. I think another big surprise for us, at least that I noticed, was I was expecting him to run the ball more. Kind of more like what we saw with Drake May. But I feel like of the games I saw, there's only about 3 or 4 times where he really just took off. And it was more like pockets collapse and let me just get out of here, nothing's open. Flip it over to the cons real quick. He does not have a strong arm. He's not going to wire. He's not going to blow it away. In fact, there's a couple of times he's throwing 5-yard out routes to the wide side or outside the numbers to the wide side of the field where the ball was you can see it was kind of dying on him. That lack of arm strength kind of does cause him to throw behind his receivers more often than I would like. A couple of times it did get his guys, killed a little bit with big hits. So I'd like to see him incorporate more anticipation at the next level, so that way he can, start leading his guys better with more yak. His accuracy could be slightly better. Like I said, a lot of times he was throwing balls just slightly behind or sliding too far to the outside of his receiver, which kind of took away an opportunity to set up a great yard after catch. And there's a couple of times he did lose his mechanics and accuracy from just kind of like taking too many shots. I'm really referencing what happened against Purdue, where in the first quarter he looked like the receiver we'd kind of known, but after a couple like questionably late cheap hits, he kind of seemed to be a little bit more scattered. So if he can try, I don't know how you necessarily work on that. Just try to keep your composure better. Hopefully NFL refs actually start calling those penalties versus this dude getting pile drive for no reason.
Right.
Interesting style comp. I'm not sure how many people are going to freak out about this, but he seemed like a big school Brock Purdy to me. And I don't mean to shit on Iowa State fans here, but Michigan's obviously a larger, more well-known, reputable school. So he, in a lot of ways, he definitely seemed like a big school Brock Purdy to me. He throws, he gets to his reads really quickly. He's very seldom wrong. He's accurate, not a strong arm, a better athlete than you'd expect, able to outrun D linemen. And I did give him a first-round draft grade. So, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I watched the Rutgers, Bama, and OSU games, and I'll give you my like meatball breakdown here. I think JJ is just a baller. Outside of just like what he does and like with his actual stats and numbers and stuff like that, I know the kid is tough. And I think a lot of people don't really want to say this part out loud, but I think there is some like weight to it. I do think winning a whole lot of games can kind of improve someone's perception. The dude won. He lost 2 games his entire career, or at least his starting career. He goes out there and he just gets it done. And I was kind of in the mindset too of like going into the season, or even before we did this segment and watching his film, and I was blown away by how sound he was in regards to his footwork and like within like the pocket. And I like that Brock Purdy comp because he does like a similar thing, where he plays with a wide base at all times, just like Brock. And a lot of people might be like, okay, why does that matter if they keep like a wide base and like, feet shoulder width apart, whatever? It matters because that means the quarterback's ready to throw at any given moment. We might see some guys at the college level, even some in like the pros, most in the pros, what I've seen, they do their drop right, and then they stand up right, and they'll like sometimes people just like bounce or hop a little bit right, and then the way the body works, you have to lower yourself again and get into that stance and then like throw. So all that is wasted movement. All that is wasted time. And the fact that JJ's so sound when he's even like he's like 21 right now, 20. He's a junior,
20.
right? The way that he 20, you can just tell how well coached he is because he's just always in that wide base, and it's always pop, throw. Right, he's always reading. He, like you already mentioned, go through his reads fast. And I like how like he didn't rely on his legs a lot this season. He relied on them a little bit against Bama and in the title game against the Washington. But he didn't have to do a whole lot. But what I like about him is like sometimes you can sprinkle in like a QB sweep or a read option with him or something like that, right? Yeah, I think the comp with like Brock Purdy makes sense. To your point, he did not throw a whole lot of passes, so he might experience a little bit of a learning curve going into the pros, right? Because we've seen data where there's a direct, relationship between number of passes thrown in college and like how long is that learning curve when you enter the NFL and getting used to the passing game, like the speed and all that stuff. So he might have a little bit of a learning curve. But like I said at the top of my breakdown, he's a baller. I can tell he is very like coachable. Again, he's 20 and he just has sound mechanics, and sometimes it looked even better than most like pros right now. So I agree with that comp. Sometimes like I see like a little bit of like younger like Jared Goff in him, like a more athletic Jared Goff. But I think if you can get him to like a right system, and again, maybe it might be one of those like McVay or like a Shanahan system, which seems like just widespreading across like the league now. sprinkling some play action with him or stuff like that, I can see him doing like well for sure. I think he's gonna be like a top 15 pick. Do you like agree with that?
I can agree with that, especially with the way guys are going to fall in love with him in the interviews and the one they watch is like pro day. I can see him shooting upwards pretty quickly. And the last couple of points I do want to put on this. First of all, I already feel bad for the kid because I know for a fact he's going to get that same Brock Purdy treatment because he doesn't do anything physically that's going to wow you. It's the fundamentals and the mental aspect that he does so well that really when you can go back and pause the game and slow it down and watch him, like you can see his head going through the reads. That's kind of where you see the more impressive aspect of the game. You're not going to see it's not as simple as you see it live and it's he ran around, made all 4 D linemen look stupid and then just hugged this 80-yard touchdown. So it's not one of those things where it's easy. So I know media people aren't going to get it and they're going to shit on him the whole time. And people are going to be so confused when he gets drafted. It's one of those things. So I'm telling you right now, I feel bad for the kid. He's going to get the same, more likely, Brock Purdy media treatment. He's kind of already getting it with the handoff merchant kind of thing. Second aspect, that leads me into my point about the handoff merchant. For those watching right now going, well, dude, he fucking won the national championship. They hand the ball all the time. At Michigan, they hand the ball all the time. I don't think that's an indictment of J.J. McCarthy because there's, even against, I think it was East Carolina, going into the halftime of that 2-minute drill, he completed like 6 straight passes. Like it was back to back to back to back. No runs in between. They marched down the field. They came out of halftime, immediately stuck with the same style. They marched down the field. I think it was eight passes straight that they threw and just marched down the field in East Carolina. So he can do it. It's just the hardball style to wear a team down. He loves wearing teams down, running it down their throat, exhausting that defense. And especially when you get to big championship games, like against Ohio State or against Washington in the national championship, you want to condense the game. You want to exhaust the defense. You want to get to the fourth quarter, and they don't want to play anymore, which is kind of what you saw. They kind of snowballed into the fourth quarter with those runs. So it's not a J.J. McCarthy thing. It's just a hardball style playing. When they put the ball in his hand, he is more often good than not. He can march it down the field if you need him to. But he's also cool with just playing within the system, making the right adjustments in the run game, getting Blake Corum or Donovan Edwards, into the right situation, and playing quarterback. And that's one of the things that I think is going to add very well to his resume. So for those that, again, just kind of question like, well, he's a handoff guy. That's why. He's not actually a handoff guy. It's just the hardball style. In fact, you're probably going to see a lot with Justin Herbert this season where he looks more conservative. They're running the ball more often than he's actually throwing it. So I just want to address those points before we kind of close it out on this segment. But B, do you have anything else before we go?
Yeah, I was going to say that off that great point. You can't punish a guy for the system that he was just like brought up in. I mean, that's not his fault. When you actually watch the film and watch him go, like watch every single like pass play, you will see the stuff that we're like talking about, and you can see like the tools there. Yeah, I mean that's the only thing I want to say. Just give him like a chance because there is like this widespread media theme about him, like he just hands the ball off. It's not that good. Blah blah blah. He could throw the ball 30 plus times a game. He'll be fine, right? He could put up 300 yards. That's not the system that they ran. So you can't really fault him for that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I will include one last little nugget. A team that I think would be fantastic for him. That I don't know off the top of my head where they draft, but if they need to move up to grab him, they should move up to grab him. Could you picture J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota? Kevin O'Connell runs a Shanahan system or a McVay system. You come in there with Justin Jefferson. You come in there with Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. They draft Blake Corum in the 3rd round, or whoever else they want to bring in. That would be a fantastic situation for him.
That kind of coincides with like when I saw him play, like watching his film. I saw a little bit of Jared Goff in him. It's the same like system. Like saw like the under center boots and the play action and the rhythm and timing with like the 10 to 15 yard range like route concept. So no, I can see the Vikings for sure. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head where they pick. I had the draft order pulled up at some point during this show, but I hope I do. I think they're at 11.
Oh, are they at 11?
It just refreshed on me. But I saw. Yep, yeah, they are. So they're right there in like range. Unless a team in the top 10 just loves him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that would be
an
ideal spot for him to go to Minnesota. I'd feel really good about his career opportunities if he went to Minnesota. But let us in the comment section what you think. Do you agree with our review of JJ McCarthy? Where do you think would be a great fit for him to go? Where do you think he ultimately gets drafted? Let us know in the comment section. While you're down there, guys, why don't you give us a like and subscribe? Don't forget to enter yourselves into that giveaway. It is a free jersey. Don't pass up on that fantastic opportunity. Until the next time, guys, you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, TikTok, and Twitter. But it's been Emmett. It's been B. You guys have a great night, okay?